Hello, everybody. Welcome back for, oh my gosh, did you, $188 million Bitcoin transfer. Jeez Louise. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely incredible day. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. It is a free and easy way to support the channel. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Welcome back to, yay, we made it, or something along those lines. You might have noticed the last week, 10 days or so, there's been a bit of a different energy, a more optimistic energy floating through the cryptocurrency space as it appears as if we could potentially finally reach that $250,000 Bitcoin. A lot of people, analysts, if you will, are now mentioning that the final step that we apparently need for this to really kick off is for Bitcoin's dominance within the cryptocurrency market to begin to fall. Thus far, we haven't really seen, so usually mathematically, Bitcoin will be a percentage of the market. The other coins will be a percentage of the market. Got it. But even if Bitcoin's price goes up by 4%, altcoins will go up by 7, 16, 28%. And at some point, Bitcoin's mathematical percentage dominance on the market does begin to fall. We haven't really seen that because altcoins have gone up by 2, 3, 4%, while Bitcoin has kind of just steadily gone up and then trended sideways. But that was namely because of a year and a half worth of aggressive accumulation by companies, institutions, and governments. In case you forgot that part. So where we are now is people are saying, like, this is it. We made it. We're here. Now the rest is basically like price exploration or whatever they call it. You know, like, hey, oh my gosh, like the price has gone higher than it's ever gone before. I wonder if it can go even higher. Oh my gosh, it went even higher. Like that kind of thing. What doesn't surprise me at all from all of this is a lot of the news that we are getting. This was bound to happen. I think this is only the beginning. I wholeheartedly believe. Let's see. Still in July, August, September, October, November, December. Oh yeah. It's going to get a lot more ridiculous. BlackRock is in the news. Is anyone surprised? You shouldn't be. These people basically started the entire mania frenzy that we see going on right now. BlackRock's spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund is officially, they officially have more than 700,000 Bitcoin. Yes, you heard that correctly. We heard when they had 40,000, when they had 80, when they had 150, when they had 300,000. By the time they got to 400 or so thousand, I was like, yeah, well, they're going to have 1 million by the end of 2025. Logically speaking, these people are going to own, hold, procured over 1 million Bitcoin by the last day in 2025, you bet your bottom dollar. All this Bitcoin is currently worth approximately 75.5 billion US dollars after registering another $164.6 million inflow on Monday. I'm not sure if you've also, it's not like you need to be paying attention to BlackRock's inflows, or any of the other ETFs. There's a lot of news recently of consecutive days over 500 million, 2 days of 1 billion. I think a couple 100 million went into the Ethereum ETFs in one day. This many went to the Grayscale one. If you didn't see, this was 2 weeks ago. Grayscale got approved for... Long story short, there's a lot of money moving into all of these funds at the exact same time. That has always been the case. But with the hype and speculation of a $150,000, $200,000 Bitcoin, of course, it's making it more into the news. BlackRock, the world's largest everything, now holds 700,307 BTC in their iShares Bitcoin Trust iBit ETF. According to Apollo co-founder Thomas Farrer, here's a little chart right here. Wow, look at that. How absolutely fantastic. So what's going to end up happening now, for those of you who don't know, is that BlackRock is going to have 720,000. Then they're going to have 800,000. And by the time they're teetering around 900,000, I think we're going to see a near ridiculous level of buying within this market. And I say this from his historical standpoints. Whenever something historical happens within the space, this is usually when a lot of people pay attention. So I saw, this was days ago, Bitcoin was at 106, and then 110, and then 117, and all blah, 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 blah. All these other kinds of things. A lot of people were remarking on Twitter as usual. You know, the hype doesn't seem to be there. So we're seeing a lot of, thank the goodness, a lot of people within crypto, you can tell, are beginning to pay attention. It's a very nice thing to see that everyone should have been doing this the last 2 years, but I'd rather now than never. But we're not seeing the same interest from, you know, people on the outside. And I mainly assume that's because of job losses, eviction notices, inflation, and all the other kinds of things that everyday normal people aren't scurrying to the market. But they will. That's kind of always the ridiculous part, is that the people who need the money the most or would benefit from crypto going up the most are still not in the market. But you can't force them to enter the market. It's just more of a, as I've been saying for months, understand if you are here, if you've been buying for a while, how lucky that you are, because when prices do 5x, 10x, 20x for many altcoins, especially out there, you will make out like a bandit. Yeah, BlackRock has over 700,000 Bitcoin just within this one ETF fund. I feel like we're supposed to be shocked, but it's impossible to be, because we keep hearing news like this every 24 hours. That's the BlackRock news. Yeah. Let's move on. Oh boy. Oh boy. We have some new speculation in the building, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. So, you know how, maybe you've heard of it, you know, there's like 1, 2, couple hundred companies who are buying up tons of Bitcoin. And we heard recently about Joseph Lubin, one of the co-creators of Ethereum, recently announced like a spinoff, if you will, of another company that's merging with another company to create an Ethereum-centric company, where basically they're going to use Ethereum as a reserve asset of some sort. And I think we heard of maybe 2 other companies. We now have, I think, 1 company for Dogecoin still, 1 company, as I remember, for Solana. At least that's been in the news. And 2, what was the other one? Oh gosh, the other coin. I don't remember. And then we had the news that there were 8 companies who were announcing some sort of a strategic reserve strategy, something or other, for XRP. A lot of times people throw things out there, and I think that they wait to see if they'll stick to the wall, kind of thing. This, of course, took the world by storm because I'll explain in very short order. Someone by the name of Hunter Horsley, CEO of Bitwise Asset Management, has joined a discussion about potentially Ripple the company pivoting into an XRP Treasury Company. I need people to stop as quickly as possible because these things are starting to get completely out of control. One of the ideas is, if you missed it, back in 2017, Ripple, the company, held, I believe, 60 or 65% of all the XRP that existed. A number of Bitcoin maximalists trying to defame the project and the company started saying online that Ripple, the company, was going to dump all of their coins tomorrow, the day after. It's going to happen, I'm telling you. And Ripple, the company, was like, why the fudge would we do that? And I remember making a video saying, why in the fudge would they do that? It makes no sense. If they're working with all these banks and these companies and these institutions, and XRP is at 1 cent, and we know it's going to go higher, how would they benefit from selling off their coins, all of them, into sell orders, destroying the price of the thing that they're trying to build and have been building since around 2014? Ripple then came forward and said, okay, there's a lot of fear going around, mainly from Bitcoin maximalists who had nothing better to do with their time. So we're going to lock up our coins in escrow. The idea was that from the 60 billion that they then had, 1 billion would be unlocked from an escrow every single month. It would take, if they wanted to sell all the coins, it would literally take them 60 months. It would take them exactly 5 years to do so, more than an adequate enough time for people to flee and leave the market, and that's if they decided to sell it all. Would take them 5 years. Since we have this whole discussion now of whatchamajaggers, reserves and this and treasuries, I've been seeing it popping up, and I was hoping that it was just like fluff. People are spreading rumors and ideas that Ripple's going to do this, or someone knows that they're going to do this, or why aren't they doing this? And it just comes down once again to people trying to raise the price of an asset that will organically go up over time, but people are so impatient that they have to kind of spread some kind of hypothetical as to if what, not what could potentially slightly be. Ripple does not have to be an XRP Treasury Company because Ripple already is an XRP company. They literally still have the coins in escrow, and any coins that they do sell, we know from documents they're selling them to banks and institutions who want to use, buy, hold, or whatever the case might be with XRP. The idea of them becoming a treasury company would then involve them having to announce that they're essentially buying a bunch of XRP and or never plan on selling at some point in the future, which we have not gotten any indication about. But we did hear before at some point in the future, they would be telling companies or institutions that if they wanted XRP, that they would have to buy it directly spot on cryptocurrency exchanges. I would assume if Bank of America, Bank of Gaboobala, or some other country comes forward to you and says, we love your project, we would love $2 billion from your escrow of XRP, someone in the office probably isn't going to go, no, I'm sorry, sir, we're not doing that anymore, as they hang up the phone. So I think it's hopeful wishing, but it's also no. In a tweet, Horsley sparked a conversation, sure, about Ripple potentially becoming an XRP Treasury Company over the next 12 months. Specifically, he said he wonders whether people will refer to Ripple as an XRP Treasury firm by next year. Why would they have to do that? Everything doesn't have to be something else. Just because one person says treasury, everything doesn't have to be a treasury. Just because one person says strategic reserve doesn't mean that every new thing of a company announcing that they bought 14 Bitcoin doesn't have to be a strategic reserve. It can simply be an investment. These people have been dealing with XRP since it was gifted to them over a decade ago. Why can they simply not hold it? What would that even potentially do to XRP's price that people are hoping? Your idea that they're already holding these coins in an escrow, not selling them, is supposed to be that the long term you have validity that the coin's price is going to go up because they're not going to throw billions of coins onto the market. But that's not good enough. It has to be something else where the company transitions into something else and they have to become this specific thing. Why? Why can't they simply, these people they're working with central banks. They're working with companies and institutions around the world trying to make payment corridors specifically for XRP. On top of that, they have to also transition their company into something else that it wasn't before just to try and make people... Exhausting. Notably, Ripple currently has 41% of the total supply of XRP. This was a major thing years ago, as I stated. Everyone and their grandmother was for some reason out of nowhere terrified from all of the propaganda being spread by Bitcoin maximalists. These people said over the years we will be getting rid of and selling XRP to anyone who wants some. They now have 41%, and of course that's still apparently a problem because people will say, why isn't it 20%? Why isn't it 10%? Why is it 5%? Why do they have so much? Well, if you're asking why they have so much, it's because you haven't looked at the history of the company. They were gifted XRP over a decade ago. They were holding on to all the XRP to sell the banks and institutions. Then they created the escrow. So they must slowly get rid of it because of the rules of the escrow. They can't get rid of it all at the same time. Anyway, yeah, as you might have imagined, this was, of course, very popular news. It's kind of similar to years ago when chains were announcing that instead of IPOs, you could do security token offerings on their chains, and then every single chain had to be able to have STOs. And then when one chain had NFTs, every single chain had to have NFTs. When these chains had staking, every coin had to move over to proof of stake to show that they could also have... So now we have this discussion floating in the air of if you're a company, why are you not holding your... And it's like, okay, stop, please. It's like a week ago, the Ethereum Foundation, I think they sold, I want to say 2,000 Ether, and people were once again in an uproar. You know that's not your money, right? Are you aware that what Ripple does, what the Ethereum Foundation does, what Vitalik Buterin does, what other people do with their own money is not your money? That the Ethereum Foundation and Ripple are not legally obligated in any form or fashion to hold on to any coin? And I heard one of you just say, yeah, they are. It's my investment. You know what that would make it then? That would make it a security. Yeah, you forgot that part, didn't you? So yeah. It's crazy that these companies can do so much over a decade and a half in many cases, and it's still not enough for people. No, Ripple does not have to become a treasury company. No, they do not have to. Are they not doing enough for you? Is taking over the world not enough? Is not being one of the 5 coins that the United States said they're going to accumulate not enough for you? That's the very popular Ripple and XRP news because, you know, you gotta continuously... Okay, all right. Let's move on. Also in the news, Swedish health tech firm H100 Group has apparently raised over 54 million US dollars via share and convertible debenture issues to accelerate their Bitcoin accumulation strategy. I think this is the 4th time that we're hearing from H100 Group. A lot of the companies who we heard from previously are now beginning to pop back up in the news. We've been going over this. This isn't anything new or like dramaticals. It's just more of a, we're beginning to hear from them again. A lot of companies previously said, hey, we want $50 million worth of Bitcoin, $100 million. Some of them said $1 billion through multiple fundraising rounds. And now we're beginning to hear about the fundraising rounds being successful. And then subsequently them accumulating large amounts of Bitcoin. So on top of the new companies, we're also hearing about, and I dare say old in quotations, ones who we've heard of previously. Now jumping back into the news, H100 Group AB, a Swedish health technology company focusing on longevity and AI-driven health services, has successfully closed 2 key funding rounds, raising around $54 million US. The capital raise was done via a directed share issue tranche 6 issuing 27.17 million shares and a directed convertible debenture issue as well. The directed share issue diluted existing shareholders by about 10%, and all of it's okay, cool, whatever. The point of them, you don't have to know all of these numbers. Like, it's literally like, do you care what future tranche number 8 is going to be? No, absolutely not. The point of the matter is, yeah, these companies are, it feels like buying with a vengeance at this point. These purchases don't they don't seem remotely normal to my mind, and they probably won't for a long time, simply because they kind of came out of nowhere. We didn't have anything like this a number of years ago, as I keep saying. So to have it so frequently now, it is on one hand wonderfully amazing to hear and see the amount of attention being paid to the cryptocurrency market. On the other hand, I would rather hear that we had 54 million new wallet addresses activated every single day, all buying large amounts of Bitcoin before the companies can. Because I was chatting with a friend, and he's not only convinced that Bitcoin's going to 1 million, he's like waiting. He's basically waiting for like 10 million. Not to like, you know what, we were going over it as far as like where prices are now and logically how much they will go up to based off of scarcity. He was like, if it goes to 200,000, 250 is basically baked in. If we're at 250,000, 500,000 is going to happen over a certain period of time. All the accumulation that we have, we're going to get to $1 million per Bitcoin. And he was like, he told me, he was like, I already don't even think of like getting rid of my Bitcoin holdings. He was thinking of getting rid of some altcoins and some Bitcoin that he might have to buy like an egregious amount of like a huge amount of real estate. And then he was like, I don't think I'm ever going to do that. He's like, I think just holding, because we were also talking about staking as well. He's like, I think just holding it, waiting for it to go really high, staking it, and then using that money, like the passive money from the staking, to then buy other assets that will then give you money to then buy more Bitcoin basically forever. I was like, well, it sounds like you know what you got to do. Yeah, these and he's not even a if you will, a big baller shot caller for those of you from the 90s. It's just more of he did very well for himself in a number of markets, but I always imagine what the big wigs are doing, and I assume it's accumulating $54 million worth of Bitcoin, because that's just something that rich people can do. Yeah, that's the H100 Group news, and yeah, let's move on. Also in the news, this was also quite popular. I believe we're seeing a resurgence, a renaissance, if you will, of something very popular that a lot of people, I think, wrote off, that I was telling you was a thing for a while. And if you are on Twitter, you know it's definitely still a thing. OpenSea. OpenSea, the NFT platform, has acquired a company by the name of Rally, a mobile-first Web3 platform, and a move aimed at expanding digital asset trading to mobile devices. Not sure if you've seen it the last like 3 or 4 months. First of all, the last few years, NFTs never left. We went over that multiple times. I see every time I mention the letters, people roll their eyes. I see your comments on Twitter. I mean, anytime it's funny the way that people act. If you talk about anything that they don't own or that they deem to be unvaluable in some sort of way, the comments I get, I'm like, really? You couldn't like jog that one off. Yeah, NFTs are still really big, and I've been mentioning recently as well on Twitter, for those of you who aren't there. Recently on Twitter, there's been a lot of chatter around like Pengu, Pengu. Not only the coin, but also the NFTs. They're both doing exceptionally well. The penguin thing rang the bell at the stock exchange as it opened. It became the profile picture of Coinbase. There's a bunch of celebrities buying them. For those of you who also are unaware, Pengu is kind of like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. Long story short, it is incredibly popular in Asia. Not like slightly popular, but it's huge. Like movie, TV show, collectible, toys, like plushes, like people walking around with it on their bags like Labubus. Like it is huge. But I think a lot of people in the West didn't get that news or don't want to read that news, and therefore this is where we are. So NFTs are still here, but a lot of them are beginning to pick up once again, and you can see the valuations rising like multiple times. Some of them were worth, I think in January, like half an ether and then 3 ether, and now many of them are 11, 12 ether like per NFT. So we're probably going to have another, as I said, resurgence of NFTs across multiple different platforms. OpenSea is not the only one doing stuff like this, but OpenSea, I believe, is the biggest, and therefore they made the big news. It says OpenSea has acquired Rally to build a mobile native platform for NFT and token trading. The company aims to create an on-chain everything app with cross-chain and AI features. Its upgraded OS2 platform now supports 14 blockchains and enables cross-chain NFT purchases. The deal underscores OpenSea's intent to build a mobile native platform where NFTs, tokens, and other on-chain assets can be traded in one seamless experience. And then it goes on talking about the team, and cool, fantastic for them. Yeah. So I mean, and I'll give you a light word of advice. That's something that I had to learn about years ago. There's a lot of stuff in investing. There's a lot of stuff within the cryptocurrency space that I just didn't care for. But I had to teach myself that just because I don't care for it doesn't mean that the rest of the market will not care for it either. And usually they do. And then money gets thrown into it. I end up looking at it and I go, I wish I had gotten into it. So yeah. This is why diversification works. As it looks right now, the next couple of months are going to be, I don't want to say the term pivotal, but I think we're going to begin to see the thing that everyone was kind of waiting for beginning to happen across multiple facets of investing within this space. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.